I used to really, really think Bill Maher was funny and creative and had my kind of vibes and that kind of a thing. And now I think he's pretty much a piece of shit. He's a sellout. He's a narcissist. He's an asshole. In fact, I know firsthand that he's an asshole. You know, a couple of years ago, well, it's more than that. Before the pandemic, I was somebody sent my name to Bill Maher. It was I know a lot of comics and I know a lot of people used to hang out, as all of you know. Got to know Larry King very, very well. And Bill Maher was a frequent guest with Larry. Um, Wanted to be Larry King. Acts like Larry King. There's nothing wrong with that. Cool. Larry was a distinctive personality and guy, and he did his show as Larry would want to do, and he did, and he became a success. And when he retired, his numbers, and they forced him out at CNN. They did. They put this schmuck Pierce Morgan on. Larry beat Pierce Morgan. They thought Pierce Morgan would bring in a young crowd and demos would be a lot more younger and more apt and more whatever. But CNN, as they normally do and still do, fucked up royally. But that's neither here nor there. Maher was a frequent guest with Larry. And that, when he did that show, he was normal and interesting and watchable. And somebody had sent my name, and somehow it got to me, and I was actually considered. I I, I never went down to LA, but they called me and they told me to, send some tape over, and that Mar had watched me, not here because I wasn't doing the video, but he had read me actually, and thought I was decent. No invitation, no formal invitation. And then, of course, around that time, March of 2020, a little thing called the pandemic emerged and everything was put on hold. Um, I saw Mar one time. This was years and years ago. Keep that story that I just told you in mind, and it'll make sense in a couple of minutes. He'd performed as a stand up comic. Loved him. Thought he was funny, interesting, politically, all that stuff. But then said to myself, there's something about this guy. He looks like a real prick. I thought about that early on, years ago. He looks like a mean guy, looks like an angry guy, yada, yada, yada. And my early thoughts were spot on because I was basically told when the pandemic sort of eased up and that they were going to consider me, that things had changed and yada yada. I really never ever thought, maybe it's the cynical part of me, that I was under any strong consideration to come down and do the HBO show as a panelist, even though I would have been really good because I say what's on my mind. I have a good set for a knack for talking about things and opining and being original and all that, even though I'm not as the HBO formula to be the panelist on the Mars show is you either have to be gay, you have to be a woman, or you have to be an ex-politician. So now go to present day. And I'm seeing all these stories, and all of a sudden he's back in the news. He's all over the place. He makes a fortune. Look, I'm never going to question his showbiz acumen. He's doing real well. Got the $1 million, gazillions of dollars contract with HBO. He does this other show on the internet where he basically gets loaded, drinks cognac or whatever the fuck he's drinking, smokes cigarettes as opposed to his usual dope, and talks with other comics, entertainers, showbiz people. And it's a hedonistic kind of a show. Watchable, of course. But what bothers me and what made me come out and do this broadcast is a few things. One, somebody that I, confide in said, you ought to be careful. You really shouldn't talk ill of Mar. He could help you. He could potentially, there might be a situation where they did consider you to come down and do the show, and that would be instant gravitas. And I said to myself, wait a minute. First off, they're not going to have me on the show. I don't fit their bill. And number two, I'm not going to compromise. I'm not going to be holier than thou and limit my observation and true feelings about this fucking asshole named Bill Maher, a complete sellout. You know, he's all over the place he met with Trump. And he's now all of a sudden a Trump advocate. Now, look, I'm a few things about Trump that I absolutely love. I already have said it in so many ways and shapes and forms. I'm a firm advocate. I am pro-Israel, unabashedly. So in that regard, a lot of things I agree with about the President Trump. So, but I didn't vote for him, not because I'm happy. I actually voted for Harris, which was a huge mistake, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But back to Maher. Maher is such an absolute hypocrite. He's all over the place now. And good for him in that regard. He sold himself out. He reminds me of kind of like a Dennis Miller. Remember that schmuck, Dennis Miller, who early on, right after Saturday Night Live and all that, when he was the liberal Dennis Miller, and then his act post Saturday Night Live didn't sell. So he decided to become a neoconservative and say outrageous things. Then he started doing shows like the Bill O'Reilly show on Fox. And he suddenly realized, you know what? My act as a neoconservative is really profitable. Now I'm going to become a conservative. And pretty soon that died down. And now where's Dennis Miller? All but gone. Doesn't even perform anymore. I don't think so. Haven't heard about him. But back to Maher. Maher is one of these assholes who made it because he's got that look. He's got that kind of, shall we say, HBO-ish sort of alternative entertainment vehicle, HBO, that works. And all of a sudden now he's kissing Trump's ass. And he is, ladies and gentlemen, I know this firsthand because I've seen him and I know it. He is a mean son of a bitch bastard who fucks with people that he thinks that are possibly a threat to him. And I don't mean a threat like showbiz threat. He likes to prance on people. I never really got into his life, although I call out, and I'm not going to compromise. Oh, I might be a guest on fucking Maher. Would I like to be a guest on the Bill Maher show on HBO? Of course I would. Who wouldn't? If you're in my line of work and you want to aspire to get a vehicle to which your shtick or your views, what have you, are highlighted on a very nationally recognized show like Bill Maher Real Time on HBO, of course. But I'm not going to sell myself and kiss his ass because I don't work that way. And I'd rather be here in true to form with you guys and others and call out the piece of shit Maher is. By the way, who the fuck can watch this little sideshow now? What is Bill Maher paramount now for? Smoking dope, which he talks about endlessly on his HBO show, on this little internet show where he has on these comics and various showbiz people so he can talk about his drinking alcohol and sipping schnapps, and basically smoking cigarettes and acting very avant-garde. Ooh, how original. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. He thinks he's a star. He's a narcissistic asshole who somehow curried favor with HBO. And again, granted, the guy is a bona fide hit. He's been able to market himself and maneuver his prominence on a very watchable show. But it's the same dreck over and over. Now he's all over the fucking place. You can't escape seeing his ass, whether he's smoking, taupe cigarettes or talking about the fact that he just loves to smoke dope every day. Got to hear that a gazillion times. I'm sure all the drug addicts in the world just love watching him. But beyond this, and I'm giving you a little insight here, the guy is a mean prick. I don't have a vendetta. I just want to call it like it is. And if it means never being considered for his show, so be it. One of the many things that I can say unequivocally and therefore not have to, be beholden to assholes like Bill Maher, who long ago became unfunny and now have their own agenda. And now again, he's all over the place with Trump, he's kissing his ass and saying things, real revolutionary things like, well, you might want to think about the guy and what he does. Well, no shit, Bill. No shit, Bill. You're trying to market yourself. You're trying to reinvent yourself and curry favor with Trump. Good for you. But there are people, many of them you used to work for with, that don't share your opinions these days that much. And you yourself, Bill Maher, are hypocritical, thing about which really irritates the shit out of me. Oh, don't say anything. He could have you on. You know what? You get on that show. I just mentioned a little while ago. You have to be a certain gender. You have to be a certain kind of an opinion maker. You have to look a certain way and kiss his ass. And let me be unequivocally clear here. I was not formally invited on his show. I wasn't told, by the way, I wasn't formally turned down either. I've probably sealed my fate now, but that's fine. I have nothing to gain. Well, I do. I'd love to do the show, but I'm not going to compromise myself. I'm not asking you to tell them that I'm not saying I'm a hero or anything like that either. I just can't stand these fucking hypocritical assholes like Maher. I mentioned earlier, he's a mean fucking prick. He is. He pounces on little people. Not talking about myself, but he could be a real asshole. Seen it firsthand when he was doing stand-up at a club in San Francisco. And this is when he was just becoming really big and the dawning of his HBO show. Now can't stand the sight of this fucking guy all day long. He's everywhere. He's on the internet. He's on Page 6. He's got his little chat show. And you know what? I could say it. I can watch him. But this whole fucking kiss ass with Trump and currying favor with other people whom he used to lambaste, whom he used to basically satirize and vilify with good reason. Now he kisses all their asses too. Let me predict something. Maher's gonna, which he's already done. He's gonna start kissing ass to the Republicans. He's gonna try to do the old, Dennis Miller thing, where he's gonna somehow and I don't know how he'll present it, but it'll be currying all this kind of love for the GOP and telling people how he's become reawakened and all that. And all it is, folks, is just he's positioning himself. He's pivoting. And I I can't watch the show anymore. I can't watch his HBO show. I often said, I don't want to watch that asshole. He's the same predictable guy. He'll give you that kind of look, and he's so utterly trying to be like Larry King now in his little chat show on the internet. I don't know if you've watched that. It's good. It's good, but it's also hypocritical. And oh my God, with the drinking and the fuck. Oh, I'm gonna get fucked up and sip whatever he's sipping. Looks like some kind of a, fine wine or schnapps or whatever. And I'm gonna smoke a cigarette or dope or whatever the fuck he's doing. It'll be come across as really, really, really creative. And I know people, lots of people, who would call this fucking thing out for what it is. You know, I have no gripes personally with regards to Bill Maher. I just don't like the fact that he does all this kind of choreographed shit. Drives me crazy. And this is what we're supposed to believe now is, the it celebrities, you know, just what I want to hear. Go on and watch Maher lately. All he talks about again is his dope. He loves marijuana. Well, ain't that profound? And he loves to walk around and date. And that's about it. And he's mean. I know a lot of comics, as I've said, who've told me as much, that he likes to prance on what he views as little people. And I am not gonna kiss his ass so that I could possibly be considered for a panelist gig on Real Time. There are people out there, so be it. Want to do that, want to kiss his ass and do all the things so they can have a shot, albeit maybe they're thinking in their own illustrious life what they want to do. If they want to go that route, more power to them. It just exposes them for what they are, much like Maher. Maher could have been somebody create, could have been a Dick Cavett in his own way, could have been like a Snyder and do a good interview. Instead, he's got this bullshit kind of persona that he's exasperated and good for him. He got to go get close to Trump. And Trump, of course, he used him. Trump did. That's all over the internet. Did Trump play Maher? Of course he did. Good for Bill Maher if he thinks of stuff. He goes into his little mansion wherever he lives in LA in the Hollywood Hills and rollicks to himself that he got to hang out with Donald J. Trump, the president. And now we're going to get more and more of this asshole because he just re-signed with HBO. And again, I don't question his whole success. Done very, very well. Made millions of dollars, plays clubs. But I will say, with giddiness, I know this guy full well without having to, or knowing full well without having to see him firsthand. I know how people like this operate. I've been around people like this. Their ego is beyond realm. Their ego manifests itself above pure common decency and it overtakes them. It's not just men either, it's women too, but mostly middle aged, successful, certain kind of men like Bill Maher who think we're stupid, or at least the bulk of us are stupid, and play us out to be some, nefarious character, while he himself is an unmitigated, certifiable fucking asshole prick. Again, I'm not trying to audition to be a panelist. I long ago put that aside. But I'm not going to let some asshole, some insecure, dope smoking piece of shit like Bill Maher come out and try to reinvent himself and kiss ass all over the culture universe to tell me about life and this, that, and the other. He can go do his show and be forever happy. Here, have more joints to talk about. Oh my fucking God.